So in this video, I'm going to unbox and review the Kludge C68 magnetic keyboard. And I have to say, I am totally sick of these cheap mechanical keyboards. This is the HyperX keyboard and it feels terrible. Every time I'm playing CS2, all the keys like the WASD, it just feels very mushy and I absolutely hate it. This is a crappy keyboard and I can't wait to get rid of it. Not to mention that type of keyboard has really slow switches. It has to travel a long distance in order to actuate. So every time I'm playing CS2 and I'm trying to strafe and counter strafe, it just feels really slow. Now, what I like about this particular keyboard is the price point. I've noticed this new trend in keyboard manufacturers creating a lot of bells and whistles, these very exotic designs, and the price is extremely expensive. For example, they add things like tri-mode connectivity, and I find these extra features to really increase the price. And I'm just looking for a well-performing keyboard that actually does its thing, which is actuate really fast, but also sound very good and has a very nice, comfortable typing experience. And of course, the WASD action needs to feel really smooth. So I'm really hoping that this keyboard fits the bill. It is a really good price point. It doesn't have all the crazy bells and whistles, but it does look very nice and I'm excited to try it out. So let's quickly show you my first impressions. And then towards the end of this video, I'm going to play a lot of CS2, competitive CS2, and I'll give you my honest review near the end. So nothing much on the box. All right. So you get a nice USB-C cable, keycap and switch puller. This is really handy if you want to change the switches. Now, these are their custom switches. So first of all, I have to say it looks very nice. I like this kind of three-tone color. You got the white, the darker green, and kind of like the middle green. You can see that we have some special labels over here. So we're gonna see what they do. These are obviously secondary functions. You have your function key right here. USB goes right in the middle, so I guess there's no bias towards the left or right. I think that's totally fine. Now, this is not too heavy. It has more of a plastic body. Now, this comes with a lot of dampening foams, many layers. You got the gaskets and whatnot. I'll put a little description of what all it contains. It feels relatively flat. It's not a very thick keyboard, so it's easy. You don't really need a palm rest. Oh, wow, that feels really good. Now, these are not your typical OEM PBT keycaps. These are a different profile, MDMA profile, kind of a weird name, but they feel really good. All right, moment of truth. Let's try out this keyboard. That spacebar feels really good. It is very well balanced. No key wobble or anything like that. Everything just feels really solid. The control feels really good. You reach down to it. The USD action right here feels really good. Yeah, so I have to say the keyboard feels and types very well right off the first bat. I have to say I'm very impressed. Now this layout is really interesting. It's not exactly a 60% layout, so it's not as daunting. You still get your critical page up, page down, delete, all that stuff. But we're gonna see how good the customization is in the software. Now, what I'd like to do typically is remove the caps lock and bind it to escape, put this to be tilde because you need tilde in CS2, and then all these other functions, let's see how well we can program it. Now I have other keyboards and these ones are split keyboards. They are very programmable. You can use QMK Vile and you can do things like home row mods, dual tap functions, just out of this world, crazy customization, and it's more of a standard. This one uses its own proprietary software. So let's see how well we can customize it. Now, I really like small keyboards. I'm not a big fan of 75 or 80% layouts, I find, or even the TKO layouts. All I need is WASD, and that's all I need. Honestly, if they could cut half the keyboard, I would just buy a keyboard like that. Now, don't be intimidated by a small layout. There are a lot of ways to get around. And in fact, you're gonna like having a smaller layout because you're gonna have more ergonomics. You don't have to reach as far to get to the function keys. So I'm gonna tell you how to take advantage of smaller keyboards, and trust me, the desk saving space, like on this desk over here, it really does add up to a lot more real estate and you're gonna appreciate it. So don't get hung up on the small size. I encourage you to get a smaller keyboard. You're gonna love it. So what I like about their software is that we don't have to download any app. You can just simply visit any Chrome browser and you can select a device. In this case, I have the C68. I'm gonna connect. And now we're in. Now you can see we have all these settings over here. We're gonna go through each one. The first is the basic key settings. Now what you can do is toggle between Windows and Mac. And what's really cool is you can hold the function key and you can toggle between Windows and Mac over here. And what's nice about this is they give you a visual indicator. So if I switch to Mac, you can see that it flashes. And if I switch back to Windows, it flashes there. And then you can see on the screen over there, it's also updating. Now this keyboard comes equipped with 4 layers. First you have your base layer, function 0, all the way to function 3. And then you have a lot of profiles. So in total you have 2 times 4 profiles.
one for each operating system, Windows and Mac. Now to keep things simple, I'm going to just always stay on Windows, and on Mac OS, I'll just flip these two. The left Windows and left Alt, I can just swap them and it basically works for both platforms. So I don't even need to toggle between Windows and Mac. That's a little tip for you. So at the bottom here, we have things like your basic letters, number keys, symbols, basic keys, enter, backspace, function, keyboard control. Now you get a lot of commands, like you can change the lights, ambient lights and whatnot. And in fact, let's go into the actual lighting. Click on the lighting mode here. Now I'm going to toggle between each design. And like I said, you can choose the function key to increase the brightness. You can increase the speed, or you can do it all here too. So I can increase the speed. Now some of these are really cool. And if you want to turn it off, you can just simply turn it off. Let's keep something static for now. And you can change the colors, and let's increase the brightness. All right, now next thing I want to talk about is the macros. Now, right now I have a basic macro that I created, and macros are nothing but a sequence of commands that you can record. All you have to do is add a new macro, macro 2, and then you hit record. Start recording. You can type, "This is a test," save it, click OK. And now we can assign any key to this macro. So let's quickly assign a particular function 3. Let's say Q will be binded to that macro. Now, in order to assign macros, we need to go talk about advanced keys. Now, advanced keys, you can click on any of the keys. So let's click on Q. And here you can have all these different functions. Now, we're going to talk about some of these. These are really important. But let's just quickly show what the macro is. So I'm going to choose my macro 2, click save. And if I open up, all right, so I'm going to hold my function 3, and you can see it's just typing. I made a little typo there, but all right. So you might be wondering, how exactly did I hold the caps lock key, press this, and then that enables function layer 3 to hit Q over here on this macro. And I have something else like enter. So just to give you a sense of what multi-layers are. So I'm going to say this is a test, and I want to hit enter. I'm going to hold it with my pinky key and hit E for enter. That's just very easy for me to recall. So now instead of having to move my pinky on the left side over here, I can just hit shift enter. Now that's just a really basic example, but you can think about how this can really improve the ergonomics of your keyboard. So let me explain how we do that. So again, we go back to advanced keys, and then here I'm going to click on my caps lock key. Now caps lock key is a very useless, like who uses caps lock key? So I recommend binding it to escape and then using escape with tilde. So here in this, there's a little bit of a trick here. What you want to do is by default, go to function 0. So you go to function key and you can select function key 3, which I've already done. Now you want to go to advanced keys, click on this, and you can see that I've already created it. So press and hold. If I hold it, it's going to be function 3. And if I single tap it, if I just hit it once, it's escape. You can see that it just escaped the text over there. And you can adjust the delay. So if you hold it for more than 200 milliseconds, it's going to assume that it's on function 3, that you're enabling the function 3. But if you tap it less than that, it is escape. So that's something I really like, and it's something that I do a lot on other types of keyboards like this one here, where I can program it to do multiple different functions. So I really like this about this keyboard. It gives the 60% layout a lot more leeway, and it makes things very ergonomic. All right, so let's talk about one of the key things, and that's in performance. So let's go into performance, and you can see my WASD, they have this thing with a 1 in the top left corner. This means it's 1 millimeter, which is a lot faster than your traditional 2 millimeters or even 3 millimeters standard type of keyboards. This makes it a lot more responsive. The actual physical distance, let me show you. So I'm going to go to the key travel test here, and you can see I'm going to hit A. I'm just going to hit it ever so slightly. See how it goes to 1? And other keyboards, you have to go from 2 to 3. It's just a long distance. So this makes it feel so responsive. This is the key thing that you're buying this Hall Effect keyboard is for this. Now, what I have here is that we have a global trigger. So you can set everything on the keyboard to, let's say, 2 millimeters. And then you can select single keys. So what you want to do is select single keys, and they have these handy pre-select, so you can click WASD and it'll just pre-select it for you, or you can just manually click a bunch of keys. And then there, you're going to adjust it here, 1 to 2. That's where you adjust it. So in my case, I have everything global to 2, and I have these ones here set to 1. That's kind of like how I like it. I will probably put the spacebar to 1 as well. Now, when it comes to CS2, These are pretty good settings, but you may want to tweak it based on how responsive you want it to be. But I definitely recommend it, keeping it less than 2 millimeters. That's the whole point of this keyboard. Now there's other different types of performance settings, things like rapid trigger mode, RT mode. There's also a dead zone setting. They recommended to keep it at 0.2 millimeters, so I'm going to leave it at default. The polling rate, that's fine. I don't think it makes too much of a big difference. And then you have your keyboard calibration. Now, I'm not going to go into RT mode. It's a little bit more complex, but for my cases, I don't necessarily need it. I just really like to stick to the normal mode. Now, the thing with RT mode is that it makes it so that you can reset the key based not where you don't have to basically bottom out or go back to the top. So let's say I'm halfway in and then I let go a little bit, it resets the key instead of having to go all the way back to the top or going past the reset zone. So if I'm all the way here towards 4 and I go down a bit, it can reset it. It's just a lot easier to kind of rapidly switch between two keys and resetting the actuation point. So let's go back to advanced keys and let's talk about one of the things that a lot of people talk about, which is SOCD. So SOCD, basically what it does is it allows you to bind. So basically you have two opposing directions. In CS2, this is very important. If you strafe to the left, you want to quickly counter strafe to the right, and you want the D to take precedence and vice versa. This allows you to stop your character really fast without having to perfectly get the timing correctly. This makes it very easy to stop and go side to side really fast. Now, unfortunately, Valve has kind of banned this type of mechanical keyboard input. They'll detect that it's some kind of input automation. So you're not going to get banned, but you'll just get kicked from the server. So unfortunately, this doesn't work for me. And it was something that I was really excited about, but it would really lower the skill level a lot if this was allowed to actually be used. So unfortunately, you can't use it. Now, there are a bunch of other different types of advanced keys. Some of them are not what I use too much. For example, you can toggle. So maybe you don't want to hold shift. You can just tap the key once and it'll stay there, and then you tap it again and then it'll untrigger. This is really helpful if you're playing like maybe different types of first person shooters where you have to crawl a lot or walk or be in a prone position and you don't want to hold the shift key. But I like the more default way. Another thing is you have things like DKS. We talked about macro. We talked about toggle, MT. We talked about most of these. There's one where you can actually press the key, and based on where it is in the actuation point, different commands are being sent. So for example, if you have W and you hold it down just ever so slight towards halfway, you'll be walking. But if you press all the way, you'll sprint. That's handy in like games like Fortnite. So I hope that gives you an overview of the keyboard software. I have to say it is very well built, very easy to customize, and I love that it automatically saves. I don't have to download any software, and I love the level of customization. They give you tons of profiles, so you have lots of memory on this. You don't have to worry about running out of space. You can really customize this to be a really ergonomic keyboard based on all the different many layers that they provide you. You have 3 different layers, so it makes it really easy. One thing I want to mention is if you want to enable these function rows, there are a couple of ways. One is you can hold the function and it'll just do the regular function as indicated here. So here I'm just plus and minus the volume. But if I hold function and control, this actually triggers the F12, which is the other function. So what you do is you hold them together and you can see that it toggled it. So now we're going to be doing volume. When you hold the function 1, it's volume. Now you do it again. Now we change it to the other one, the other function key. So now it's going to be F12. So you get multiple uses out of that.
So that's my review of the Royal Kludge C68. I have to say this is a great budget mechanical keyboard. After a lot of sessions of CS2, I have to say this definitely fits the bill. I just want something that is lightweight, portable, easy to carry around, does its intended job. I just need to be able to hit WSD and control and shoot my characters on CS2. Anyways, I'll leave a link in the description for this. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.